What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Beyond ARTV. It's time for another installment of my recurring series called Hate It or Love It. Hate It or Love It is where I talk about reasons why people either hate or love something. It's pretty self-explanatory. I normally talk about bands, artists, and if you have any suggestions for future bands or artists that I should cover, then please sound off in the comment section down below. Today, we are going to be talking about the Dan Reynolds-fronted Las Vegas-based band Imagine Dragons, and they have been everywhere for the past half-decade. If you don't know this name, then you have probably been hiding somewhere, locked away, far away from the internet and sunlight. Wait, if that's the case, then how are you watching this video? Anyways, Imagine Dragons. Whether you like to admit it or not, this band is immensely successful, and whether you question their talent or not, they are here to stay. They've been on the charts for the past 5 years. They've, ever since Night Visions, been cranking out the hits, whether it just be on rock radio, alternative radio, or crossing over into the mainstream. They have that appeal and flair to them, so it seems like they're able to reach a mainstream crowd. Regardless of how you feel about them, I will be weighing in with the internet's opinions and then be voicing my own opinion on each point that I come up with. So keep that in mind when you're watching the video today. Please drop a like on the video if you do enjoy it, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and let's get right into it. I'm putting this point first because I don't feel like it holds as much merit and value as many of the others that I've found, but this one seems to be a valid enough complaint among online communities that I've found on Reddit and just in YouTube comments on their old videos and the new ones as well. So a lot of people don't know this, but Imagine Dragons got their start well before Night Visions. It wasn't all just big choruses and rollicking pop rock tunes with anthemic feelings. It, in the past, was more of a Las Vegas-based theatric style. And if you know anything about the music from Las Vegas, it is much more grandiose and very theatrical. It's something that almost feels like it would belong in a musical. Here's a little clip.
Lots fake news. Open places, question rules, stop trying. Are you vagabond?
Yeah, I know, it's hard to believe that that is Imagine Dragons, but many people have really been on their case about abandoning their Las Vegas roots and just not paying homage to their hometown in any way. Now, what you might not know is that Imagine Dragons actually had some lineup changes during those days, and for the most part, it's not exactly the original lineup. Obviously, Dan Reynolds and a couple of the other members have always been on board, but for the past decade, they've been a band, and this is how they got their start. I don't think it's fair to really hold them to the standard of, you need to continue making music just like this, because that doesn't really give them any room to grow. Not that I'm always on board for the directions that they're growing in, but still, I mean, if we held every band from Las Vegas, like The Killers or Panic at the Disco, to that standard, then I just feel like we'd have kind of a muddled mess of generic sounding show tunes on our hands. To make an arena-ready rock song these days, it seems like you have to have one big thing. And what is that one big thing? That is a sense of melodrama, a sense of over-the-top flair, being overly dramatic with your choruses, your music, and the way that you stagger out the verses and lead into the chorus. And Imagine Dragons have gotten the over-dramatic thing down to a T. Look to the chorus of some of their biggest singles like Radioactive, Shots, and more recently and more prominently, Believer, which really sells you on this idea of, hey, we're like combating each other in an arena somewhere ready to duke it out. This is the end of the world, or this is the biggest night and fight of our life. And it just continues to push that idea because Imagine Dragons and their music, it just seems like they're trying to hook you on the fact that they have something more interesting to say. So I can definitely agree with the point of what people have been saying about them being overly dramatic. Just a little side note, I wanted to say that I understand that dramatization in music is a big part of what makes it work, and I do understand that. It's just that with Imagine Dragons, I feel like we're getting some of that showmanship from their Las Vegas days after all, because here, it just feels like acting rather than a playing up of exactly what they've been through. Serving up the hits, hit after hit after hit. here's a style for you, here's a style for you, here's a style for you. That's what their most recent album Evolve felt like to many people, including myself. A lot of people notice the fact that they do seem to follow a lot of trends, and looking back on it, I can definitely see that from the Night Visions days to even some of Smoke and Mirrors, and most prominently on Evolve. Now with Night Visions, you might have noticed that they kind of hopped on the dubstep trend and also kind of mimicked other indie bands at the time with some of their tracks like Demons, which I actually like. I still like Demons and Radioactive a whole lot to this day, even though for a while I went through a phase where they were really overplayed and I just couldn't listen to them all that much. I still don't have a problem with those tracks despite the fact that they did follow trends. Now, on this newest trend hopping craze that they're on now, it seems like with tracks like Thunder, they're obviously following the likes of EDM, very electronic and programmed stuff, following these other bands that have kind of switched up their sound for a more mainstream friendly appeal. And with Thunder, it seems like all of the dignity that they had as a band went out the window with that. And then you've got some of these other tracks like Whatever It Takes, Believer, that are really blowing up, even Walking the Wire and Dancing in the Dark. They're really all over the place. It seems like they have a song for every occasion and every fan, and as a result, the quality of their music suffers. Selling the rights to their music every chance they get. Now this is a big point right here because this is something I've been pointing out since they appeared on the Frankenweenie soundtrack and the Iron Man 3 soundtrack. Like in 2013, I noticed this right away that they were appearing on so many soundtracks, and it wasn't just that they were giving the rights away to songs from Night Visions or any of their albums that followed, it's that they're actually crafting these super generic and kind of paper-thin songs for these movies like Iron Man 3, Passengers, various different video game soundtracks, and they also appear in pretty much a ton of trailers and car commercials as well. And over time, if I'm having to constantly hear this in the background, like I'm looking at a Buick commercial and Radioactive is blaring at me in the background, do I really get more of Imagine Dragons? Do I really fall more in love with them? Or does it make me think, God, that's that annoying band that shows up everywhere? At this point, they've appeared on more than a dozen soundtracks, with 9 of those from my research showing to have been original songs for a movie or video game soundtrack. That is insane to me. 9 songs over the course of 5 years that they've just made outside of their albums exclusively for other things, whether it be the Hunger Games or a video game. It's just crazy how they're willing to really just sell away the rights at any given opportunity. Some would say, oh John, this is a big business decision. It's just really smart business politics. You just don't understand the grind, you gotta get a buck out there somehow. Considering Imagine Dragons are one of the highest grossing touring bands, plus their music sells well with traditional album sales, plus merch sales, plus everything else that they have going on, do they really need to license it to every car commercial, movie trailer, or video game soundtrack that comes their way? It's just like if an offer is on the table, they're just like, yes, absolutely, let's do it. We finally arrived at the final and 5th point here, and obviously this should deal with the quality of the music. And the quality of the music is something that definitely struggles. A lot of people have pointed out the fact that so many of their songs just feature a basic 4-chord structure and just go up and down and up and down, rotating back and forth. And even some of Dan Reynolds' vocal patterns really become questionable, like on Thunder, for example, where he literally just goes up and down. The music itself is often painstakingly average, making sure that it can be used at a sporting event, also having love songs that are going to relate to a lot of people, and also having the slower ballad type songs and the more explosive ones, and really just a song for every occasion. But at every turn, I and many others find them to be extremely generic, just with their songs coming across as washed out, and there's nothing wrong with being pop rock or having arena-ready material by any means. I like tons of bands that do that sort of thing. I might not list them as my favorites, but still. Imagine Dragons, and the reason that they suffer is because they are caught up in commercialism. They're caught up in having hit songs. And I think a lot of that might fall on the band themselves, sure, but also producers they have like Alex the Kid and their record label Interscope. This is a big deal because a lot of other bands try to follow Imagine Dragons' suit because they're getting top 10 hits, and that doesn't happen for a band that's labeled as rock, even though I don't think they're rock whatsoever. other bands are going to follow after you, and if we continue to have Imagine Dragons clones, then I think that the genre of alternative is only going to get more polluted. There you have it, 5 reasons why the internet hates Imagine Dragons. I weighed in with my points. Let me know yours tastefully and respectfully in the comments section down below. I'm sure there's going to be plenty an Imagine Dragons fan angry down below as well. So make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell as well so you get notifications for my newest uploads. Got a couple of other videos on the way this week, so make sure you're tuned in. And if you're able to, please support me on Patreon at the top link in the description down below. You can support directly by tapping that annotation over in the corner of the screen. It helps videos keep coming on a monthly basis, not only on this channel, but also ARTV, my main channel as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you want to see another Imagine Dragons video, then tap right over here, or you can see the last episode of Hate It or Love It right here. Social stuff in the description, and other than that, I'll see you soon on Beyond ARTV.